Hello, welcome to Brap Life. My name's Angel. Thank you guys so much for listening every week. This is so cool to see how many people are coming back week after week and just resonating with all these stories. It's been super awesome to watch this channel grow and to really just know that it's because everybody supports these riders and these interviews are doing something. So it's really cool. It's been really awesome to see how many people reach out because they think that I can help in the industry, which is flattering. I can't do that much, but I do what I can and I will always try. This community has given me so much and I'm just trying to give back. So with that being said, this week's episode is with BeRad. BeRad is somebody that I met a couple years ago at a Jarvis clinic. And he was just this guy who was doing wheelies and like doing everything that Graham was doing. And I was like, who is this? So it was really funny because I had no clue who he was. And it wasn't until probably about a month later that I found out that he was like this big YouTube personality and he had like this like whole YouTube series of like videos and he's the wheelie guy and I was like, well, I could definitely believe that. So it was really funny. And we've kind of touched base a little bit over the last year and a half. But we haven't really seen each other until Grinding Stone when he came flying up to me and scared me. In this episode, we're going to talk about how BeRad got into riding, the importance of technique, of course, and some other little tidbits and cool things about BeRad. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you next week. The big red button has been pushed, so we're officially like recording live. I usually end up saying live. It's not actually live, but
I know what you mean.
yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on. It's cool that you were able to do this so quickly after we talked. So this is kind of awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's I'm really excited. It'll be a good time. Get down into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. You really scared me, by the way, at Grinding Stone. I had no idea who was coming across the rock at me, and I was like, what is this dude doing? Like, you're supposed to go down.
I should have made it way more scary and like wall ride over you or just
Oh my
scream
God.
as I was coming straight at you. Yeah. I could have taken advantage of that situation a lot more, but oh well.
You,
Missed
it scared me
opportunity.
plenty. We're good. We're good.
All right.
Next time, maybe, but
Yeah.
I'll be
Well,
a
sorry
little bit
about
more prepared. It was just funny because, like, I had no idea that you were even going to be there.
Yeah.
I had missed that on social media, so I was like completely and totally surprised. So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool.
Yep. It was good seeing.
Yeah, you too. It was fun watching you. Like, so what exactly was the role that you were playing there?
Yeah.
And
So
like, how did it come about? Because I don't understand.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. The very first year, I'm buddies with James Flynn and the Flynn family, and all the
Mhm.
interconnected people associated with that event, and just all being friends, riding together and stuff. So very first year, I went out and kind of helped test some lines as like I guess however you'd classify me as a rider, a non-racer, but will maybe send some stuff here and there. I always get made fun of a little bit by by all the racer friends, oh yeah, you can do everything but race, and they're kind of true, kind of right about that. But yeah, so kind of started there year one, helping, you know, mark a little bit of course, even like drilling and putting in the stakes and whatnot. And then, yeah, every year besides last year, I've done some bit of help with setup with the event. And of course, being that involved with like the course making and testing and all that, obviously it kind of disqualifies you from being able to compete because you technically have an advantage. Although personally, I don't think it would really matter. Everyone goes and rides all the lines anyway in the months leading
Yeah.
up. So it's kind of silly. But anyway,
Mhm.
respect the rules. That's all good. But yeah, so Jim Flynn, the event organizer, texted me, or we were talking at the Street Rhythm course. I was playing around on the features there the night before the race, and
Mhm.
Jim's like, oh, Rich Larson, I wanted him to make a video, kind of doing what I did essentially, which I'll get into. And he's like, "Oh, but he can't make it." And I'm like, hey, like I could do it." So essentially, they just had me start last in line, had the camera going on the helmet, and the idea was to get like a perspective of kind of like what it would be like to race it as an amateur.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess there was a little more to it because, like, I was kind of working through making passes, but then also stopping, helping people pull their bikes up and whatnot. So yeah, just kind of offering a different perspective of the race than just the pros, ripping through the course.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really fun. Honestly, it was like kind of my ideal situation. Like I've said, I'm not much of a racer, although I would like to try that race some year. I think I could do pretty all right at it. But yeah, it was a really good time just getting to help people, give line suggestions, show them a line that they were maybe a little nervous on doing and just be like, hey, it's
Mhm.
all right. Just let it go. As you know, there's some pretty like visually that course is very intimidating, especially if
Mhm.
it's your first year riding there or even if it's your 10th year riding there. There's always lines like that. It's just like, ooh, that doesn't look very realistic or possible, but you follow someone down it and it definitely makes it a lot easier. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was really fun. Just got to go out there and just enjoy the day, have fun on the bike, and help people, and that's yeah, couldn't ask for much more. So yeah,
Yeah, it was really awesome to see you out there. I That's one of my favorite things about hard enduro is that it's the only discipline that I know of where people help each other.
yeah,
And that's like my favorite thing when I get to see it cuz I mean, the terrain is just absolutely insane sometimes. And so watching people help each other like it's kinda scary sometimes, but
yeah.
then, it's really cool to watch people overcome it and celebrate together, and I think that that's one of the coolest things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people help each other in hard enduro because it's like, "Hey, get the heck out of my way. I need to get this line and you're blocking it." But it works out because then if they get stuck, the next person helps them. And yeah,
Mhm.
it can be very much a team effort, especially like in the amateur category. It's all about yeah, it's really about surviving the course for probably 90% of people. It's not even
Yeah.
about getting 2 laps in or however many laps. It's just like, can I make it through the time limit without destroying my bike? And yeah, it's a gnarly terrain, gnarly course for sure.
Yeah, that was probably one of the craziest ones I've been to, and
Yeah,
I was just, like, blown away. Like you said, it's visually intimidating, and as somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of seat time on the bike, going there and just knowing that I was gonna be riding around, like, near those features was
hmm,
scary,
yeah,
and I was like, I couldn't even imagine actually doing most of that. I mean, the stuff that I was, like, taking pictures on was just, like, insane, way
yeah.
above my skill level, but
Yeah. Well, and it's even getting around the course, like the sand, I think, just on
Mhm.
the spectator loops, one of the hardest parts of the whole area. Like it's trying
Yeah.
to go slow, especially if you're gonna, respect the speed limit, which, people are doing
Yep.
a hit and miss job at, I would say. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like riding a dirt bike at 10 miles an hour is incredibly difficult
Mhm.
in that deep sand. So yeah, good job surviving it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, sand has been, a big thing that I've had to learn since coming west. There's not so much of it on the East Coast, so and that's
Yeah.
where most of my riding was. As you know, I started in the Midwest in Minnesota,
Yep.
but I didn't get a whole lot of seat time there, so last year, was when I really started riding more, and it was all East Coast, and so rocks and roots, that was my
Yeah.
thing, and then I
Oh yeah.
came out here and I was like, "Oh my god, what is this sand stuff?" And
Yeah.
then these, like, little rocks that are on top of the dirt that like to move underneath your
Yeah, the
bike.
marbles. It's like riding on
Mhm.
yeah, it's like it's like being on like a child's, like, playroom with, like,
Yeah.
Legos and marbles everywhere.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy, and actually up where I'm at, it's even worse, up here than it is in, like, the Phoenix area. I'm like,
yeah, yep.
I wanna go back to Phoenix because it's hard up
Mm,
here. Because
yeah,
then we also have this stuff where it's like I think Cody Webb said it's called like decomposing granite, and
Yep.
basically they're rocks that as soon as you touch them, they just like fall
Yeah,
apart.
they fall apart.
So
Yeah, it looks like you're gonna get traction, and then you just dig a
yeah,
hole. Yeah.
yep, yeah.
Mhm.
I had a rock explode under me, and I just went flying, and I was like, "What just happened?" I was
Yeah.
like, it was like a huge rock, and then it wasn't there anymore. So
Yeah. It's so interesting. For probably the first 4 or 5 years of my off-road career, we'll call it, just trying to ride a dirt bike off-road. I'm about 10 years into it at this point. Oh, that we'll ignore being a kid. I did a little bit of riding, but it was like grass fields once or twice a year, not really learning anything or trying anything, just trying to not tip over essentially, which is great. I mean, everyone, we all have to start there. But
yeah.
yeah, I got so used to Michigan, which is like it's sand, but it's a lot easier sand to ride in. Like it's very stable, it's very predictable. If there's moisture, you may as well be on like a paved road. It tracks so well. And then like I had my first ever trip out west on a dirt bike, and I think it was like
Mhm.
I guess Texas was my first proper off-road experience. And there it's a lot of hard pack, but then you get like the rock ledges, and that blew my mind. I was like,
Mhm.
a foot tall ledge? There's no way you can ride over that. And went out with my buddy who had very minimal off-road experience as well, but he was out there trying. And we did there's this place called Emelong Metropolitan Park. It's actually
Mhm.
city. Yeah, oh, yeah, you've ridden it, huh? Or have you
Yeah.
ever heard of it at
Well,
least?
I was there. I did not ride it because I was by myself, and
I
I
see.
looked at it and I just laughed.
Yeah.
Because we have a mutual friend who told me to go ride there when I went out
Mhm.
there, and I was like, "Yeah, no, this is
Yeah.
your skill level, not mine."
Yeah. Yeah, it's so yeah, I mean, the terrain, like it's very
Yeah.
intimidating if you don't know any better. And
Yes.
yeah, so I think
Yes.
that loop, which is I don't know, what is it? 6, it's either like 6 or 9 miles. I think it's like only
I
6
think it's
miles.
I think it's like 7, yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll call it 7 in the middle somewhere. But I think it was over 6 hours to do 1 lap, an hour for every mile. And now I think I can do the whole lap in like, I don't know, less than 30 minutes or
Oh
something.
my god.
Yeah, the perspectives, it's just crazy. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, the progression in such a relatively small window is
Mhm.
I would have never guessed I'd be able to do that. And then, here I am, and it's, making a lap is no problem at all. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I might mess up a line and get a little wobbly, but otherwise it feels like single track. But yeah,
That's
that was my first,
crazy.
we'll call that hard enduro experience, and I loved it. It sucked. I was sweating. It was 90 degrees out. Like, it was miserable, but I felt so accomplished at the end of it.
Yeah.
It was a big struggle bus the whole way. I kind of got a little addicted to it. Then I went out to California in the hills, which has kind of, similar to the Arizona Phoenix terrain down here.
Yeah.
Loose sand, marbly rocks, chunk, and oh my gosh, that was even more humbling. Like, just getting up what would be a basic hill now, just straight line, hold the throttle, and
Mhm.
ideally get off the pegs. But I was a sit down, feet out rider, way back on the seat, no control of the front end. Like, I had zero technique, and it didn't matter. I went out and I had fun. And
Yeah.
like all my friends I was riding with out there were kind of chuckling. They're like, "Oh, like this Michigan guy doesn't know anything." And I'm like, "You're right, but you got to learn somehow." So yeah, throw yourself
Exactly.
into it and figure it out. But yeah, I guess with that, I kind of struggled and rode that way for 4 or 5 years, we'll call it, and just really, I was just going out and surviving, and then I don't know, at some point I was like, yeah, maybe I should I noticed other people, they were riding this stuff, and like they weren't breaking a sweat, they weren't getting arm pump and all this stuff. And I guess there was just a
Mhm.
switch that flipped. I'm like, maybe I need to put a little effort into learning how to ride the bike properly. And yeah, and I mean, we could get into that now or later. Yeah, I don't want to just take lead and start rambling here.
And this is what it's all about. This is
All
about
right.
your story. So whatever
Yeah,
you want to talk about,
I guess we'll
I
talk
think
about
it's
that whole.
interesting. So
Yeah, I guess we'll kind of talk about that whole thing a little bit then. So,
yeah.
yeah, just really started to focus a lot more on um, just trying to become a better rider. But even with that, is like I didn't really know anyone like living in Michigan, where all my friends that I saw often were like they didn't know how to ride that kind of terrain. And even in Michigan terrain, like I had this one double A really fast rider. We're still friends. I haven't seen him in a while, but like wicked fast guy in that Michigan sandy terrain. And he would just be like, "You got to stand up, Brad." And then I'd stand up like the complete not right way. And I'm like, "This is silly. I'm going to whack my head on branches. And how are you supposed to turn doing this?" And he's like, "You just got to do it." And I'm like, so it's kind of like it's just funny. There's definitely a difference between the being able to do and being able to like teach someone how to do. And
Hmm.
there's so much details in the middle that you have to fill in. And I really didn't get that advice until honestly uh Ryan Wells, whose house I'm parked out of right now and who I've been working with instructing for his training school, which has been an awesome opportunity. But we followed each other on Instagram. I didn't really know who he was. We just had a couple mutual friends or whatever. And he started kind of pestering me on Instagram in my messages and on videos like, "Hey, you got to like do this, do this." And nothing but in good intentions. But at first I was like, "Who's this guy? What does he know?" Like he didn't, he wasn't really active. So I didn't really see many photos or videos of him riding. I was just like, "Yeah, cool. Like he races. Yeah, I guess he won a race in or some races in Arizona. Like, what does that mean? I don't know."
Yeah.
But turns out Ryan's like an insane rider. And yeah, it's just really cool because he took the time as much as I took offense to it at first. I was like, I don't trust this guy. I don't know. But he kept getting on my case and just trying to give me little suggestions here and there. And eventually I was like, all right, I'm going to try what you're suggesting.
Yeah.
And I did it and I committed to it like over a few month period. I just focused on trying what he was suggesting, even though I really didn't want to believe it. Like I did it to prove him wrong and ended up proving him exactly right. And from there on, like the progression just got like phenomenal. It just, yeah. So very thankful for Ryan. Yeah, he's been a huge influence on my riding. And yeah, I don't mean to make this whole thing about Ryan, but he's been a very important role in like where I'm at with my skill and um, even lifestyle at this point. Just being able to come work for him and train, which is really cool. I get to pass on that knowledge to other people. I've been teaching a lot of brand new riders who've never touched a dirt bike before, and just like being able to see them go from not knowing what a clutch is or where the lever is even to
Hmm.
standing up in attack position, like going through rock gardens and up steep hills and stuff. It's just like it's such a rewarding thing. And it makes me a better rider too, because I'm even more conscious of my technique now. And
Yeah.
obviously there's always things to learn, always room to grow, but I'm doing my
Hmm.
best. And it's been really fun just getting better every day. So
And that's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing that like I have a lot of friends who are really good who I get to ride with, and all of them are the same way. They're always saying like there's always room to improve. There's always something to progress to the next level. And
absolutely.
I absolutely love that. I love to surround myself with people like that because obviously I'm at a very low level. Like I'm still learning. I have a lot to learn.
Hmm.
Um but it's really cool to see people that I consider absolutely incredibly amazing, still pushing to learn, still
Yeah.
talking about, "Oh, I didn't do this," or "I need to learn this," and it's just a growth mindset that I find that I like to be around. Like, that's who
Yeah.
I surround myself with.
Absolutely. I
Um
think I know exactly who you're talking to, and they're lovely people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool, but just love well, the community of off-road in general has just been super supportive ever since I started riding bikes. Like it's been awesome. I can go pretty much anywhere in the country and find people to ride with, just show up at a trailhead. And it led me to hard enduro, which I knew about hard enduro before I started riding actually. I'm kind of weird in that I was watching
Yeah,
Erzberg for
that's
like
definitely
7
strange.
years. Yeah. I was watching Erzberg for like 7 years before I even got a bike. And I got my little TTR and I was just like, you guys, I'm totally gonna go to Erzberg one day. Like, this is
Yeah.
so cool. I had always wanted to ride a bike, and that was just like my motivation to learn, you know. I didn't
Mhm.
actually think I'd do it. Um, but, you know, now here I am starting to do hard enduro, and I have, like I said, a lot to learn. But I 2 years ago, if you had told me that I'd be doing this now, I would have just laughed because I would have been like,
Yeah.
No." Like, I can go over a couple little pebbles on my bike and that'll throw me, you know?
I've seen you do
Like
much more gnarly stuff than a few pebbles. I think you're doing just fine considering you're in your
Well, I'm
very
talking
early.
about back then. I'm
Oh, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
Okay,
back then.
yeah,
Like, when I was on my little TTR, I was just like I would get thrown by, like, the slightest thing, and, you know, it
yeah.
was crazy, but I was also just thrown on a bike, and they were like, "Here's your clutch, here's your brake, go." And I was
Yep,
like, What?
yep,
Excuse me, what?"
yep. I tell this story all the time, but, like, I learned from my dad who had experience riding motorcycles throughout his life, and,
Mhm.
he's a perfectly decent rider. He doesn't really ride off-road, but, yeah, he can get on a motorcycle and control it pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the same thing. It was like, on the PW80, here's your gas, here's your brake. It wasn't sit forward on the seat, make sure your chest
Mhm.
is leaned forward, your elbows are up. And sure enough, my very first dirt bike experience was an immediate whiskey throttle into a parked car.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
like
my god.
the classic video. I had gear on, I had some boots, a helmet, probably some elbow pads or something. But yeah, it was just like, it's just funny looking back. Like, obviously my dad did the best he could with his knowledge, but
Mhm,
he
mhm.
didn't know those little details that are so important to prevent a whiskey throttle. Like, yeah, I probably gave it gas and my head ripped back and tilted up to the
Yeah.
sky with that heavy helmet on. And like, yeah, it's just funny. Those little tiny details make all the difference in making sure you get going on the right track. And most people
Mhm.
don't get that because it's their uncle or their dad or some random neighbor that teaches them. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's even with the best intentions, it's just you got to be so specific on those little details.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think too, like, you're very cognizant of, like, how much people know coming in. And I think a lot of people aren't trying to be coaches, right? They're trying to
Mhm.
just show this one person that they care about how to do something.
Yeah,
And when you're not really thinking about that, it is that you're like, oh, well, I'm showing them where the clutch is. So
yeah,
like, obviously, like,
yeah. You just
I'm
use it.
telling them what they need to do,
Just use
but
the clutch. Just let it out.
yeah, when you have no idea what the
Mhm.
clutch even does, and you're like, okay, like, then
Yeah,
what?" Like, there's a progression, and this is something we always talk about for women. We need to know everything before we like do the thing.
yeah,
So it's even a little bit more different. So I've been part of a lot of clinics where like women have not a harder time learning, but like they just ask a lot more questions and they're like, okay, but when I pull on the clutch, like what exactly is happening? And they want to
yeah,
know
yeah.
like
Well,
exactly because
and
they need
that's
to understand it.
I actually like that you bring that up, and I have a slightly different perspective, but that I think you'll
Mhm.
appreciate is like, out of all the coaching I've done, women are usually the easiest to teach because they care. They don't have the ego of I know what I'm doing. I know what a clutch
Yeah.
is and all this stuff. Like, it's open mind. What you say is what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not excluding all, lumping all
Yeah.
men
But
together too. There's lots of men who are very easy to work with as well. But there's also a lot that are just like, are you sure that's right? Like, and like, yes, like, what are you hiring me for? It's to teach you. So I'm
yeah.
happy. Like, I always explain the why of everything. Like, why do we
Yeah.
stand up? Why do we
Mhm.
keep our legs straight? Why do we smoothly release the clutch? And
Yeah.
yeah, so some people are just pretty stubborn, and it's always fun though when you get one of those stubborn people, stubborn persons, peoples. Anyway, and they're a little hesitant on trusting you, but then like they get
Mhm.
one thing down that they're like, oh, that's really nice. I didn't know that, and then you build
And
that trust,
you
and
see
then
the light bulb moment.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then the progression from there, it goes so much
Yep.
more fluid. But
I
yeah, I
absolutely love seeing that.
yeah, but yeah, like I love the students that ask the most questions of, "Hey, this doesn't make sense. Could you explain why we do this? How does the clutch work? What is
Mhm.
shifting gears?" Like half
Yeah.
the intro students, they maybe haven't even ridden a bicycle that changes gears, so they don't even have a
Mhm.
concept of why or what that is. And I'll be honest, it's really hard from a coaching perspective. Like it's hard to remember honestly that some people don't understand those concepts. So
Yeah.
sometimes I may breeze over talking about gears and what they do because I just assume they know. And even most kids, even if they haven't ridden, they're in a car, they see it shift, whether they know what it's really doing or not, they're kind of aware. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's you're exactly right. Like you have to be so aware of someone may not know a single thing. When you say
Yeah.
throttle, they might not know what that means. They might know that it's this grip we twist, but they might have any not have any clue what that really does. So
Mhm.
it's yeah, you can get into some really fun, really fine details just to get someone rolling on the bike. And it's really really cool trying to put all the pieces together and figure out how each individual learns in different ways and how you need to talk to them and present information. Some people can't handle a bunch of words. It goes right over their head. They have a short attention
Mhm.
span. Sometimes just showing them visually on my bike, which I do with everybody, but yeah,
Yeah.
some people that's all they need and then they just match it and they're perfect. Like you don't have to go into it any further. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like, me personally, like, if you give me too many words, I get kinda like, "Wait, what? Okay, what was the first part again?"
Yeah. Yep.
So I have to have, like, a balance. Like, I'm gonna ask questions if I don't understand, but,
Right.
like, for example, like, timing when it comes to trying to do a pivot turn, I haven't had that explained super well, so, like,
Mhm.
I haven't been able to do it yet. But
Yeah.
I also haven't been shown it, like, I don't know, this is gonna sound really weird maybe, but, like, they're gonna show me, but they're over there doing the pivot turn, and they're
Mm.
telling me, "Alright, you're just gonna do this," and I'm like, "Okay, but, like, I can't see what you're doing because you have hand guards," or, all
Well,
these different
yeah. Yeah.
factors, and it's just like, I need some sort of, like, a blend, but then once it clicks, I'm like, I usually can get it, and it's just
Yeah.
like, it's awesome, but it's hard to find, well, for me, because I've been traveling so much, it's hard to find people around that, like, I can even go to for stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and consistently, because it's like you can't,
Yeah.
if you have a goal to pivot turn, which is, I mean, that's an advanced technique, no doubt.
Mhm.
There's 100 steps before it that you want to master before you're even thinking about it. But like I
Mhm.
was also the person in the parking lot throwing my bike on the ground trying to learn how to pivot turn as well. So like I get it. And at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. It's that you don't have to, it's recommended you follow the step by step. And I think that is the
Yeah.
best way to be in control where you're not even necessarily thinking, oh, I want to learn how to do a pivot turn. You just do one because all the other components are in place and you just know,
Mhm.
I want my front wheel to come up and then turn left, and your body just does what they need to do on the controls because you already have such a
Yeah.
fundamental understanding. But
Mhm.
yeah, pip something like that, it's tough. There's so much going on at once, and it's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really I people ask me all the time, they call me the wheelie guy or whatever. And yeah, I guess I'm pretty good at wheelies, but um Brad, how do I do a wheelie? Um and honestly, it's like it's kind of one of those things. It's really hard to teach because it's such a feel-based thing. I mean, I
Mhm.
can explain to someone, you know, build the RPMs and dump the clutch and like even show them with my hands and the bike off and timing
Yeah.
that with body position. But like at the end of the day, you can't, without just practicing it and saying, oh, that one felt good. Let me try to repeat
Yeah.
that. Like that
Yeah.
you can't watch a YouTube video and then the next day go out and you're doing wheelies necessarily. It's just it doesn't work. And I mean, I I appreciate all the people, you know, Nick, we're both friends with, like, he has all this great content, Rich Larson, like, on how to
Yeah.
wheelie and stuff, and I love it, and I think they do a great job, and I love their different perspectives on how to explain it, but
Mhm.
it's just funny, and I'm sure they all know it too, but it's like, ain't nobody watching this video and then going out the next day and popping a wheelie, like, that you gotta put the hours in, you have to put the hard work in. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of people want that shortcut of watch the YouTube video or go take an in-person training session and then yeah, just take one and then we're good. But it's
Yeah,
yeah, it takes a lot.
it does, it really
Yeah,
does. Like, I've done probably 4 or 5 clinics, and, like, I'm still, like, I'm always like, "No, I'm, like, the lowest level," because, like, it is all about those fundamentals for me
yeah,
personally. Like, I practice them, but I still always feel like it's good to get that, like, feedback in person. Um,
absolutely.
Especially with being such a small rider and so new still, I get a lot of feedback when I'm out on the trails from people. Um, my, "Oh, your body position's weird, and, you maybe should think about this," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay, but I'm doing those things, it just looks different for my body," because, like, when I'm
yeah.
standing on my bike is so big, my butt is about this far away from the seat.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
looks like I'm
absolutely.
not standing.
Right.
So, I've had to really do a lot of modification, and that's why I've done so many clinics and,
Mhm.
really spent that time to try and figure out what does that look like for me, because my 5-foot body does not look the same as my 6'2" buddy who
Absolutely.
has
Yeah.
super long arms and legs,
Yep.
and, it's completely different. Um so I personally love clinics, and, like, I love going to, like, in-person trainings because of that instant
Yeah.
feedback. I love videos, don't get me wrong, I do Cody Webb CW2 training, and it helps for, like,
Awesome.
when I go out and I do training stuff, like, I can, like, watch the videos and I can go out, but to me, it's just like a refresher of what it is that I'm gonna be focusing on that day. I'm not really using that as, like, to learn the thing, like you said, wheelies or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's more of like, I'm really lucky that I get to do as many clinics as I do. Um, but I'm also like, I want to learn it right because I am learning this so late in life that I'm just like, I'm not going to waste my time and learn it wrong and then have to relearn it in a couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I mean, do you film yourself pretty often to, like, be able
Mhm.
to review and check? Yeah, I mean, that is, like, such a useful tool, and it's so nice we have the ability to do that with our phones, like, so
Yeah.
conveniently, and then
Yeah.
send it to 10 friends, you know, and get feedback and whatnot, but, like,
Mhm.
um, that, but also oh gosh, what was I just gonna say? Um yeah, anyway, it's so important that, like, in between the clinics, you might think you're doing something, like, you might
Mhm.
think you're pushing your heels down to get traction, you know, push into the pegs to get traction, but then
Mhm.
you see a picture of Mario Roman with his foot looking like it's dang near vertical, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's heels down."
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's like, I, for the longest time, probably thought I was, you know, riding with my head far over the bars when I was accelerating. Oh, I know what I was gonna get into.
Mhm.
Ryan explains this very well. He says dirt biking is a feeling,
Okay.
and I that changed my perspective because I was watching the videos, I'd compare with, you know, him and Billy Bolt and whoever else who, you know, is pretty renowned for, like, having really good solid foundational technique. Mario Roman's
Mhm.
another person.
Mhm.
And so many more people, but, like, I would, like, think I'm doing it and, like, but I'm like, "Man, I'm getting really burnt out still." And
Mhm.
I wasn't in tune with, like, the feelings, so, like, if you're in your, what you feel is attack position and you whack
Mhm.
the throttle in a straight line to accelerate and you're getting arm pump, you're doing something wrong because you shouldn't be hanging onto the bars. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, my head's as far forward over the bars as it can go. Any further, and I'm gonna fall forward. And it's like, no, dude, you got another foot you can move that thing forward. So you find that
Uh-huh.
balance, and your weight's into the pegs. It's not holding on to the grip super tight. So when I started
Mhm.
thinking more about what feedback am I getting from my body? Like, am I working hard? I'm doing something wrong. That was like the
Yeah.
biggest leap in progression for me, which honestly really only happened in the last year or two, I would say, like really fine tuning and getting that in where I can go ride 100 miles and not be at all beat by the end and then go teach a 5-hour lesson after it, you know? Um, I went,
That's
I went and
crazy.
I did a little turn track session with Max Gersten yesterday
Uh-huh.
morning, and it like beat the crap out of me because it was just this gnarly, beat in, hard edge braking bump rut track. They're like 10-minute. He was running like 9.5 minutes. I was running 11.5 minutes per lap. Um, and yeah, but like still, even after that, I was trying to ride efficiently, although it was hard, but like I could still go, and I taught a 3 to 4 hour lesson riding like wide open GP stuff after. And I'm a little sore today, but I slept well. And yeah, I wasn't bleeding in my hands and cramping in the shower and stuff, It
Yeah.
yeah, and like a year ago, there's no way I could have done that. I would have been
Mhm.
smoked, sore, bloody, like just yeah, totally not. So yeah, it's been a fun journey just trying to really put some effort into yeah, just trying to be better on the bike. And that's all I've ever cared about.
Yeah.
I try not to compare myself to people too much. Although
Mhm.
now it gets kind of interesting when I'm maybe reaching a level where I can be like, all right, I really want to try to keep up with you someday. Uh,
Yeah.
it pushes me a little. I'm not a very competitive person at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think maybe
Yeah.
that comes from being from the Midwest, but
I don't know.
um
I know a lot of people in the Midwest that are pretty competitive.
it's a I don't know, it's just like a nice competitive, I feel like, but I mean,
Yeah,
I've been
for
all
sure.
over the country now, so it's just a little bit it's kind of funny to just like see the differences in the way that people
Yeah.
ride. Even like I said at the competitive level, it's just a little bit different. Um but it's funny. But I really like how you said that about like the feeling. Um
Hmm.
that to me it kind of goes with something my friend Cody said to me this weekend about I need to use the bike more to do things uh and it just I don't know. Like okay, my brain is putting it all together right now, so I apologize. It's going to sound really like
Oh, you're good. Go for
weird.
it.
But like so he was telling me that I need to use the bike more because I'm doing a lot of like pushing and a lot of like wasting energy.
Yep.
And I think that that part of my motivation has been to learn things properly. And I realize that as I start to do things in the proper form, um, it does feel different, and
Yeah.
uh it does mean that I can go further and things like that. Even something as simple as my weight being back when I'm going down a hill. My
Yeah.
arms aren't hurting because my weight is not completely on my arms the whole time.
Exactly.
And that was what a friend had told me. He's like, dude, if your arms are hurting, because like we were going down quite a big hill. He's like, if
Hmm.
your arms are hurting, then you're not putting your weight far back enough because you shouldn't have all that weight on your arms. And I was like,
Exactly.
oh, okay. I didn't know that. And then I changed that, and all of a sudden, downhills weren't a problem for, well, they're still a problem visually,
Less of a
but
problem.
yeah, exactly. So, like, but and then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the visual intimidation. Um, that's a bigger problem for me than my arms hurting when I'm going down the hill. So,
Yeah, for sure.
and
Yeah, and
that's
that's
harder to
I don't
teach
know the
out of
solution.
somebody.
The solution to that one's hard other than you just gotta baby step it up bigger and bigger until what was
Yeah.
scary to you, going up a ledge this big is now a 4 foot tall ledge.
Yeah.
And that's yeah, it's I think I'm a perfect example. I went to Emma Long and was scared of this, and now
Yeah.
I'll smack a 6 foot vertical wall. Like I'll at least try it, but Yeah, it's
Remind me to send you the video of what I did this past weekend.
okay, I will. Yeah. Um,
But yeah, it's really scary some of the stuff. Like I said, I've traveled a lot this last year and I've been fortunate enough to ride in 16 different states. It's a
yep,
lot of terrain
yeah.
for somebody who's not that good on a bike.
Well, give yourself some
And
credit. You're doing great.
thank you. I feel like I've gotten really lucky, but at some point some of it has had to be skill that I didn't realize that I had.
Mhm.
Um 'Cause I don't think you get lucky that many times in a row. But the problem is that I've traveled so much that I haven't been able to go back to the same trails multiple times usually. I get
Yeah,
once or twice and then, I'm somewhere new.
yeah,
So now that I'm in Arizona permanently, it's been really interesting because I've been here for 2 months in this specific area, and I've been doing a lot of traveling to California and Utah.
mhm,
But I can keep going back to the same spots and I can see the progression now because what was this, like you said, the 1 foot step up or whatever a month ago or 2 months ago now is no problem. Now I'm working on these big rocks that scare the crap out of me.
yep,
But, hopefully in a couple months, going up those isn't going to be so scary anymore. So,
right. Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, I was gonna say repetition is good. I've been
Mhm,
teaching this kid basically every week for the last few months,
mhm.
and he the other day it's so funny. I like just the way his brain works, and he's awesome. Like he's great. He's sassy. He's a smart ass. Like he's fun to be around. Um, he had the best day of progression I've ever seen from him, and we get done. There's this like I don't know, maybe we'll call it a 4 mile single track loop, pretty up down, some rocks, some ruts, like pretty pretty difficult terrain. And he's like a young
Yeah,
kid. I don't know, he's 14. Yeah, I think 14. And
yeah.
we rode like the first time I took him there, he was stalling the bike probably every couple 100 feet. Anytime there was a little ditch crossing, he would like stuff the front, fall over, get stuck. It'd take
Oh, no.
15 minutes to get out, and but second time he got a little better, and then this last time we rode, I think we did 5 laps total, and his last lap like didn't even dab a foot. But what does he tell me?
Wow.
He's like, "When are we gonna get off this track? This is boring." And I'm like, "Dude, do you realize that how like you not understand like how much better you're getting by riding this same trail?" And
Yeah.
I yeah, I explained this to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I guess you're kind of right." Like, but you got to have that consistency. I told him if we go ride
Mhm,
a new trail every day, it's
mhm.
going to be a new turn, a new rut, a new ditch to go through, and you're just not ready for that. It's just going to be frustrating. It's frustrating for both of us because I
Yeah,
can't I can't teach you about something that you don't even know what's to come, right? Like
yeah,
we need to on the next lap we'll correct the mistake we made going through that little ditch. And
yep.
sure enough he did. And but yeah, it's just funny, he like it completely went over his head like how freaking incredible he was riding. um
Yeah.
like how can you be bored, you're getting better. Yeah, and then he messages me after that session. He's like, next week I really want to go back and ride that single track and get better at it. Like,
Yeah.
wait, you're getting it, you're understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I try like here at home, I have like a loop of like it's not even a mile, but it's
Mhm.
things that test me and that I feel like I need to work on. And that's my little loop that I do and I haven't like gotten it to the point where I can clean everything yet. It is
Yeah.
not it's rough, but
Yeah.
it's my little hard enduro loop. Now when I just want to go out and like it's been a long day at work, I have a different that I do, and it's just my chill, like I
Yeah,
just want some time on the bike loop.
for
But
sure.
I think there's a lot to be said for like that consistency. Like you can, like you said, focus on those things on that technique because you're not trying to second guess like, okay, what the heck is coming around the corner now? And for
Yeah.
me, being again new, but also in an area that I don't know very well. I'm basically exploring everything as I find, I'm going off in a wash basically and finding
Hmm.
new stuff,
Yeah.
which is a little scary. But um, I'm to a point with my riding that I feel comfortable enough to do that, and I know what my limits are for the most part. So I'm not going to get myself into a situation that's too scary.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna, I do want to progress, so I do push myself just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Um, but my time to really push is when I'm with my friends, like, all the people that I've been riding with lately all ride hard enduro, and they're riding stuff that's way above my skill level, but they take me out and they let me try it and they let me struggle and they give me pointers and like, "All right, here's how you could do this, here's how you could do that, or here's
Hmm.
how I do it," even though I'm 6 feet tall and I'm doing it completely different than you're gonna do it, but they're very honest that they don't always know how to help, but they're there to be supportive and let me try and figure it out. So,
Yeah. That's awesome.
but yeah, I it's a mix between like trying to figure it out because like you said, it is a feeling. You have to like you can have all of the practice in the world in a parking lot or, on flat ground, but then you have to be able to put it into practice when you're
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of blending the two. And as somebody who doesn't have a ton of seat time until more recently, it's hard to like visualize, okay, I'm doing these lock bar turns and how is this going to help me out on the trail? And then now I'm realizing that those are super, super helpful when I'm like going up a rock and I get to the top and I have to come back down.
Yeah.
Like, and there's very little space to turn around. So,
Yeah.
and as we said, I can't do pivot turns yet. So that's not an option. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's trying to figure out how to turn the bike around and go downhill and not fall and
Yeah.
do tight turns, things like that. So all those things out in the parking lot are helpful on the trail, and it's just
100%.
the
Yeah.
more the more
I
time I get out there, I'm like, "Okay, I need to go back to the parking lot."
Yeah, 90% of what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 months here in Arizona has been fundamental practice, doing
Mhm,
demonstrations for intro people, for intermediate riders, and it's crazy. I've always focused so much on, like, super technical skills, like, you know, double blips and zaps and holding pressure up, all this stuff, and Page was the Grinding Stone was, like, the perfect example. It was the first year I ever went where I could, like, ride a lap of loop 1
mhm,
and not be at all exhausted. Like,
which
because
is insane.
I've been yeah, it blew my mind. I was like, "Wait, I should be pretty tired by now," but, like,
Mhm,
I just wasn't, and it's honestly, it's because I wasn't focused so much on squatting down super low. Like I would hit the sand turn faster coming up to the feature where I hit it
mhm,
so fast where I just kept my legs straight, my chest over the bars, like attack position, and you end
mhm,
up the feature. And my approach always before was like, let's see how slow we can go up this. Like how trialsy and cool can we make it? And like I never really realized how much energy I was wasting when if I just practice hitting a sand turn a little more often, then I wouldn't have to go that slow. I just use momentum to get up it. And
Yeah.
that's that's kind of like Ryan's philosophy. Like he's not the most techie rider. He's phenomenal. He gets through anything, but
Mhm,
he just approaches things a lot differently than what I see a lot of people like teaching for hard enduro.
mhm.
And I didn't really like again, I like kind of didn't trust or believe it at first, but it's just wild how yeah, practicing those parking lot fundamentals and drills and um actually focusing on fast riding can actually help with the technical stuff. Like a rock
Mhm,
garden's the perfect example, pretty big chunky rocks. Well, would
mhm.
you rather be able to ride through it third gear or do you want to be slipping the clutch in first gear getting stuck? It's way easier if you
Yeah,
can just ride through it, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
And yeah, just like those fundamentals truly do help.
Mhm.
Just being able to keep pressure into the pegs where your suspension works and it more or less floats over and you have consistent traction. You can actually steer the bike over the rocks. Yeah, it's been an absolute game changer, but definitely a totally different approach than I've spent the last 6 years trying to do. And I'm glad I spent those 6 years suffering and making it a lot harder than it needed to be, because I've
Mhm.
developed certain skills because of it. But yeah, end of the day, we're trying to be a faster rider, which has been my focus the last year, specifically this winter, has helped
Mhm.
tremendously across the board with all of the riding.
Yeah. I I think that that's why I want to learn from so many different people. There's
Yeah.
amazing coaches out there. We're
Oh
really
yeah.
lucky in the off-road community to have a lot of really, really good ones.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Very, very many.
so
Very good ones. Yeah.
I have a list and I'm like, all right, I want to learn from this person because of this and this person because of that. And like I want to be as well-rounded as possible. Like I said, I'm doing this late in life and but I want to learn everything. I'm a nerd and I love
Mhm.
to learn things. So like it feeds that side of me, but it's also I know gonna help me in the different places that I'm gonna end up going. Cause I mean last year I was in 47 states. I didn't get
Wow.
to ride all of them, but I went to a lot.
Yeah.
And, I'm still trying to hit every state for riding eventually. Um, we'll see how many that actually how many of those actually happen this year because then I'm also starting to travel internationally now and trying to ride in other countries
Mhm.
now too.
Awesome.
Um, so yeah, I just like I feel like learning different disciplines even will be helpful as well. So I my friend, she keeps her, Courtney, she keeps telling me that I should do track. And when I was in Minnesota, she's like, come to the track with me. And I'm like, I am
Yeah.
not a track person. But now I
Yeah.
understand like there that has applications to the kind
Yeah.
of riding that I'm doing. Like you just said, speed can help. So
Yeah.
um I definitely like I just want to ride all the time. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand why I can't just get paid to ride and be happy.
You know, if only it were that easy, right? We'd all be doing it.
I know, but like,
Unfortunately, it's very difficult to make money in the industry while
yeah.
maintaining freedom of traveling and stuff. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's been my struggle the last struggle, meaning it's always evolving. The
Yeah.
program's changing every year to try to maintain being able to do what I do, and uh, yeah, it can be intimidating and stressful sometimes.
So, how did you come into your whole lifestyle now, this whole van life?
Yeah,
How long have you been doing it and like where did it all start?
yeah. So kind of honestly, kind of happened by mistake, or I should say unintentionally. Um, Around 18, I started to ride on the street a little bit. I had a 96 XR 250 that was street legal in Michigan, and pretty much went out with my one buddy in high school, and we would just go mess around on like dirt farm roads,
Mhm.
behind our town and stuff, and just started making GoPro videos. They were ridiculous, silly. It was just like trying to clutch up wheelie on a dirt road and chase it out through the gears. And yeah, that was like the first few videos. And we do like corn stalk jousting. There's a video somewhere we like grab corn stalks and just not like actually trying to hurt each other, but just like goofing off, coming at each
Mhm.
other and like throwing the corn stalks. Just total goon teenager behavior. And yeah, kind of started doing that, and then I ended up getting a superMoto, a WR 450,
Mhm.
um, and was putting out videos. I'd ride pretty much every day as long as the weather allowed, and let's say I'd get 4 hours of riding footage every day. I would just from after work to even beyond the sun setting, I'd be out recording. And when you ride that much and you're like around towns and stuff, you end up capturing stuff. You capture car accidents, people cutting you off, road rage, like yeah, just like wild things. So I just started
Yeah.
making these compilation videos of yeah, just whatever I came across, and
Yeah.
some wheelies thrown in the mix, some hooligan stuff. And one day it was literally probably I don't know, it was within like 10 videos or something. I had one that just blew up.
Mhm.
And I was at work one day and I thought my phone was broken. It just started just vibrating like crazy. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And it was like so bad. Like I was like, I gotta look at it. And I like pulled it out and it was like notifications, email, so and so has subscribed, subscribed, like full screen all at once. And then I'm like, well, this is so weird. So like after work, I was like still confused. And I like go to my YouTube and I don't know what it was, but like I think the video was at like 20 something thousand views, which was a lot more than the 150 of, people that were watching the videos before. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. And like, I don't know, within a week it was like 50,000. And then eventually, I don't know, it's at probably a few million now or
Yeah.
something on just that one video.
Mhm.
And um other than like, oh, that's cool, people want to watch my stuff, I'm definitely turning off this email notification setting. um, Getting all these people subscribing. um and I just kept posting videos. Like I didn't really think too much of it, but I
Mhm.
met some people who were doing through that. Because of that, they found my video and they're like, oh hey, I saw your video and you're in Michigan, like you want to link up and ride. So we'd kind of go out and just be hooligans and stuff. And kept making videos and like they kept getting consistent views. And then one of the guys is like, he's like you're monetized, right? And I'm like, what? Like what is that? And he's like, you can make money because this is like the early, like YouTube wasn't like a popular thing to make a living off at the time. It was
Mhm.
kind of underground still. And I was like, no. And he's like, dude, you're missing out on a lot of money with that kind of viewership. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay. So like I signed up and then I don't know, my first paycheck was maybe like $500 or something, which was crazy because like I was just doing this for fun for free. And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden Google's sending me money for me doing wheelies and talking to random people on the street. Like this is sweet. And then, the next check was bigger, and then it was like, I can quit my job. And I did. And, the it got kind of weird because like there's maybe a year period where like consistent for a 20, 21-year-old at the time, it was like, this is living, like I'm gonna retire early, but like really it wasn't. It was just like I had no bills, like I was living at home with my parents. And um yeah, just really low expense lifestyle other than filling up the supermoto with gas. And yeah, so that lasted for a little while. And then I started selling like t-shirts, just doing like Teespring campaigns, making little keychains and stickers, just kind of
Mhm.
piddly little money. And then at some point, I rigged up a license plate holder for the supermoto. I didn't like it being on the rear fender because I scraped rear fender and you destroy license plates doing that. So I was like, I
Mhm.
need a way that like it isn't gonna that I can have fun and do this, but I'm not gonna get pulled over because it's some sketchy angled license plate. So I made this product. It was like bent up aluminum sheet metal that used like the rear fender bolts tucked underneath in the wheel well, and it like perfectly displayed the license plate. And you could actually adjust it up or down, which in hindsight was completely pointless and made it 4 times more expensive to make. But I was making it myself. My
Yeah.
dad owns a machine shop and has a bunch of like metal fab equipment, so I was utilizing that. And so I made one and I was riding around, and like other people, they'd like see it in videos or just out riding and they're like, dude, like I really want that. I have the same issue. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll make some. Made a batch of 5 or 10 or whatever it would have been. And just in person, like little cash, or maybe I'd even ship a couple here and there. And that led into making my website, BeRad Products. And I put them up on there. Had no idea what I was doing. Like online sales was totally foreign. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh, it's ready. It's live. I post it like on my YouTube. My first
Mhm.
order is a guy from Canada. Well, guess what I didn't have set up? International shipping. So I was like, shit, like this is so like, what do I do? I was like freaking out and I emailed the guy. I'm like, hey man, I'll be honest. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna need a little bit of time. And I
Yeah.
ended up just going to the post office and paying some ridiculous, shipping label fee to get it sent to him. But he got the product, he loved it, and orders kind of slowly started rolling in. I ended up making some other products and kind of just snowballed. And then it died down when like my niche was always, it's still to this day has been like Yamaha bikes. There was the WR450s,
Mhm.
for like superMoto products. Then I got the two stroke, and then it started being more two stroke products. But yeah, kind of did that for a couple years. It kind of fizzled away when I got more into the off road. And then I had some companies reach out to me, like Apex Heads was one of the first people. The cylinder heads that I run,
Mhm.
and he shipped me. He's a good friend now, Matt, and he shipped it to me, and I was like, yeah, cool, like whatever, dude. I don't care. Like I don't. What's this silly? Like it looks nice, but whatever. I don't think I even installed it for like 6 months, which I feel so silly about. But I put this thing on, and I'm like, why did I wait so long? Like the power gains, just the bike ran so much better, and it like
Mhm.
truly made riding easier for me. Um and yeah, so that developed that partnership, and he was just like, just basically a product exchange for like a review and a video. So yeah, I
Mhm.
made a little post about it, and then I'm like, I should be selling these. Like people are interested in the comments. Why
Yeah.
don't I have them on my store? So I ended up buying inventory of them.
Mhm.
And that was like this all started months before like COVID. So I like had all this inventory. I started buying Electron carburetors, which I'd been running
Mhm.
for a couple years at that point, but I was just doing like discount codes, like kind of a like influencer deal stuff. And I'm like, if I'm selling 20 of these a month or whatever, if I can make double that amount of money per carburetor if I'm an actual dealer, why would
Mhm.
I be like this, be this influencer program when I can just become a dealer and make way more money? So sure enough, I was like, it was a big deal, like to buy 10 carburetors that sell for $500 a piece. Like that's a
Yeah.
lot of money when I'm in Texas and, in a kind of weird financial position, but I bit the bullet, and like within days I sold those 10, ordered 20,
Mhm.
and then it just kind of spiraled from there. Then COVID
Yeah.
hits. And I'm like, and I quit my job that I was working at, which was actually working at Lectron as their lead machinist. It's a cool advantage because like I know the product very, very well. So
Yeah.
customer support, when people had issues, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, this screw, just you need to turn it out a half a turn. And oh yeah, sometimes I knew all the little quirks and stuff and fixes. So it really
Yeah.
made people trust me as like, yeah, Brad can help you get your bike running well, with or without these products. And yeah, then COVID hit, and I was like, wow, I just quit my job and I have all this inventory. I'm fucked. So I don't know what your language rule is, but that's the best way to put it. I was freaking
No,
out.
that's
And there was a few week period where yeah, no one was buying anything because like the world was
Mhm.
ending, no one knew what was going on. And then the
Mhm.
checks rolled in, the what do they even call them? I forgot. Not the
Oh, it was the,
You could call them Trump
thing.
checks, but what was the actual like government?
I don't remember what it was called. Like,
Anyway, everyone knows what
I
we're
know what
talking.
you're talking about though, with all the
Everyone
money
was
that we got.
getting everyone was getting their 600 or $1,200 or whatever, and like
Yeah.
as soon as those checks started rolling out, so did the orders into the store. So I had like an insane year of sales, and like things were sweet. And yeah, that kind of snowballed it into what it is today, which is funny because I'm like, the website was doing better back then than it is now. I tried to invest like every penny I made, I tried to invest back into inventory. And
Mhm.
a good example is like I bought a whole display wall of Bulletproof Designs parts in every color for every bike from Yamaha to, you know, Husky, Gas, KTM, and all the different years, like big
Mhm.
investment.
Mhm.
People didn't buy it. And even friends, they'd get a new bike and they wouldn't buy from my store. And it hurt a little bit. I was like, oh, cool, you know, I sell this, and then you go support Rocky Mountain or whatever. But
Yeah.
I've grown a little and like realized like, all right, if I'm in that position, if I have 5 different companies worth of parts to build out a new bike or whatever, I don't want to pay shipping 5 times to get all those different products
Mhm.
when you can go to a Rocky Mountain or a Moto Sport or a Slavens or something that has that all that variety. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, financially it makes way more sense to get it in one spot. And I never really wanted to grow to the point where I had a big warehouse and all these employees. Like, I like my lifestyle of me being my own boss and my only employee. And like, you know, yeah, you definitely lose out on money by not growing, but I didn't see that as fitting for what I wanted for my lifestyle, which is to be able to travel
Mhm.
around and be mobile and kind of make it up as I go. And so yeah, anyway, it's all sorted out. I'm kind of keeping the base products that I started selling, you know, Voice and Electron, Apex, and those move great. But a lot of the other stuff, I either drop ship or I just don't sell anymore. And
Mhm.
it's been working out well. So that the dirt bike training, the YouTube, my YouTube's doesn't do well anymore. Like I put it's so weird. I started like putting more effort into production and stuff, and then I'd get less
Mhm.
views. So I was like, I'm
Mhm.
spending more money, more time, more effort, and I'm getting less out of it. Like this sucks. So I got pretty discouraged for a few year gap there. Still pretty discouraged, but now I'm just kind of casually throwing up helmet cam footage and whatever. But yeah, it's ever evolving. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. That's the one thing I've learned. And
Mhm.
um it's up and down. You kind of just gotta go with it and try to supplement with other stuff, which I feel like I'm finally just kind of figuring out where I'm not, you know, not stressing. Like it's okay to have some normal work and work for someone else. I can work for my dad at his machine shop when I'm in Michigan. I work for Ryan,
Mhm.
you know, this winter here. Um, and then the website's just like, cool. Yeah. Like yeah, make some sales. I get to help people out, get their bikes set up, but you know, I don't necessarily have to or want to at this point like rely on it as my only source of income. So
Mhm.
um yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
So, going into your traveling, how much have you been able to travel in the last couple years?
Oh, pretty much in the last, we'll say the last 8 years, pretty
Mhm.
much anywhere, whenever, for the most part. Um, Sometimes I'd run into like, you know, draining the bank account and just got to go hunker down and like work in Michigan where I'm, you know, my
Mhm.
expenses are as low as possible. Um, but yeah, like flexibility wise, I'm very fortunate the last eight or so years to like truly just be able to hop in the van and go at any point.
Mhm.
But what I'm coming to realize is I don't, I'm sure you know, but it's like really difficult to stay in one spot for a week or a weekend and then go to another state and then like all these big long drives and resettling in, figuring out where you're going to park, who you're going to meet up with. And by doing that,
Mhm.
by moving around all the time, I was always trying to like chase
Mhm.
adventure and um, cool rides and people I wanted to ride with. And it sucks. Like, you know, there's someone you follow on Instagram that you've wanted to meet up with for years, and you go meet up with them, and like it's a sick ride day. You have a great time, and then they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I got to go to work now, Monday through Friday." So you're sitting
Yeah.
there, and it's like, cool. What do I do? Like, this is supposed to be a little vacation for me, and
Yeah.
I found myself in a position where it's like making videos wasn't making me any money. So I was like, what's the point? So I literally
Mhm.
just ended up sitting there like twiddling my thumbs, not knowing what to do, not having like any goals or and like honestly it was horrible. Like I'd
Yeah.
get like really sad and lonely and then the weekend would come
Oh,
and I'd boost back up again because people would come out to ride and you do
yeah.
that for so long it honestly kind of got to a point where like I didn't even want to ride. Like I would go ride, but I wasn't even like enjoying doing it because
Mhm.
it was always accessible, always on tap. Like I needed more. I needed it's a drug, really. It's like you need it consistently, or you go through these super low dips and these super high highs, and like that
Mhm.
messes with your head a lot. So really, in the last year, I had a really really tough previous winter, just with some family
Mm.
stuff and mentally, and not knowing where my business was going and what I was doing with my life.
Mhm.
I pretty much had a 4 month period where I didn't even touch the bike. It was dirty from my last ride. It was in my van. I parked the van. I didn't touch it for 4 months, which is the longest period I had never even thought about riding a motorcycle. And
Mhm.
that was a period where actually I got back into piano, which I used to play as a kid, and had a 10 or so year gap. And on a whim, bought a little keyboard in St. George, Utah. When I was there, I'm like, man, I don't want to ride dirt bikes. I need something else to do. I gave it a try and like it's stuck for almost a year and a half now. And
Yeah.
taking that little break was like the biggest thing ever. And then, the weather warmed up in Michigan. I was like, all right, yeah, I think I want to ride again. And I got back on the bike and it was like the most refreshing thing ever. I enjoyed it again. And since then, I've told myself, if you ever don't feel like riding, don't ride. Like, do
Yeah.
not force myself. It's okay to tell your friends, nope, I'm just gonna hang in and watch a movie tonight or during the day or play piano or just do something. Go hang out with people. And
Mhm.
for so long, I always felt like this is me. Dirt bikes are what I am, and I there's nothing else to my life, which there really
Yeah.
wasn't for a long time. That's all I knew. That's all that excited me. It's all I wanted to do.
Mhm.
But when you get to that point where you don't want to do it and you're forcing yourself to do it, it's like it's
Mhm.
really not a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, big learning period of just like diversifying. And then the other side of that is not trying to chase things around, like sit in one spot, let them come to you. And that's what I've been doing all winter here. I'm like, I don't even go camping anymore, which like I have friends camping 10 miles away that I'd love to go hang with, and I hopefully will soon, but I'm perfectly content parking outside of Ryan's house and waking up every morning, seeing him and everyone else that lives here, coaching, like a little bit of stability and structure has just
Mhm.
made me feel so much better. And
Yeah.
yeah, not trying to just chase things. And sure enough, like people are in town every other weekend that I know that like want to ride and we can meet up and I don't have to go. The burden always felt like it was on me to go meet up with
Mhm.
them, the other people. And like that's
Yeah.
a lot. It's expensive. Driving 10 hours between spots, you know how it goes. Like
Yep. Yep.
it financially it's a burden, mentally it's a burden, physically it's a burden. Sitting in a car that
Mhm.
long, like multiple times a week, freaking destroys your body. Like
Mhm.
so well, I'm still always sore because now I ride. I ride more than I ever have now. Some days I'm doing up sunrise to sunset, teaching people how to ride, and then I'll go off and ride for fun too. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like my body felt bad. My mentally I felt bad. Like it's just a really, really weird time. But then everyone on the outside looks at it and they're like, you're living the dream. And God, do I hate hearing that. And I get it. I get it. Cause like
Yeah.
people don't understand. Like I worked the 9 to 5 in a machine shop and yeah, had my weekends free. And like, oh, I hate my job. And yeah, I don't like working that structured. But
Mhm.
like people don't always understand the other side of it. And yeah, I'm very fortunate to have this freedom and be able to go all the cool places I go and ride and very grateful for all of that. But if you do it too much, it literally becomes not fun and you need to tone it back and maybe have that structure again. So
Mhm.
yeah, like last winter, oh, you're like the most sad and depressed I've ever been in my life, and people
I
think,
remember watching that, and
yeah,
you were very open about it, which I thought was
yeah,
really
yeah,
it was really great that you shared that, as hard as it probably was for you. But
yeah,
one of the biggest things about all of this, right, is dirt biking teaches resilience.
yeah,
And but it's a lot of mindset, and I felt like you lost that. And
yeah,
like you said, you took your time, you basically reset, and you've come back and you've been able to improve and everything.
yeah,
And I think that that's super, super important to highlight, because
yeah,
not everybody is at the same level. Not everybody can be riding as much as you or I get to.
yeah,
Um, but it still can burn people out, because they are doing the 9 to 5 job. Maybe they have kids, all these things. They're
yep,
trying to hit every single race on the weekend, and then, oh, all my buddies want to go ride on the off weekends, and trying to do the thing. And it's just like, sometimes you just gotta let it go. That's something that I've really had to figure out lately too, is that I've been pushing so hard because I wanted to be prepared for these races. And like, I lost sight of life outside of dirt bikes.
yeah,
And so, like, I had somebody, like, basically, like, kinda open my eyes to that, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, well, there is a balance that you need to find." And everybody finds it at a different point. I mean, you were doing it for a really long time. I've only been doing it for a couple years, but, it's you still have to figure out what other things there are, because otherwise you lose that passion.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, a big takeaway I found too is like the community, the people that you're surrounded by is the glue to like being able to enjoy yourself and have fun.
Yes.
And when you're going to a different place every other week, and yeah, you're seeing a lot of people, and like, but you don't really settle down, like you don't you see you see each other on like your highs, and you don't see each
Mhm.
other like at your lows or your normal day-to-day life, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to actually get to know people and make like true friendships when you're only seeing each other like at those exciting times.
Yeah.
And only for short periods, and then you go across the country and it's like, honestly, like, it got overwhelming, and it's still overwhelming, and I it's cool that I've made so many friends and I meet these people, but if I have 50, like, what I would consider good friends, I can't keep up with everyone every day, you know? And, like, your best friends, my, you know, friends I grew up with and stuff, like, we can go a year without talking, and we show
Mhm.
up and we you feel the love, like,
Yeah.
immediately, and that's great. But yeah, it was like, "Oh, should I go to Idaho, Utah, or back to Michigan, or Florida, or California?" And it's like you feel in the middle of all this stuff, and everyone, because you're
Mhm.
the person that travels, "Oh, well, just come to me." "Yeah,
Yeah.
sure." Well, how about you come to me at some point?" "Ooh, I can't
Yeah.
really do that." "Yeah, all right. Well, it's kinda like
Mhm.
you feel a little weird when it feels like very one-sided of you're putting in all the effort, and you understand, like, if they have a normal job, yeah, it's way harder for them to do it, but
Yeah.
it it's a little frustrating when people just expect that, "Oh, yeah, just snap my fingers and I'll come ride with you next weekend." Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
costs
Across
money,
the
it costs
country at
time.
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so I don't know, it's yeah, I think it's a lot better to kind of focus on, like, an area and a community that you really mesh with, and just, like, yeah, just focus on that a little more. So I'm kind of figuring that out. I got my Arizona community, my Michigan community, and
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many other great friends all over, but um, yeah, it's really helped just to kind of focus on one spot for a little bit, and not feel so overwhelmed and looking in every direction, trying to find what's going to be the coolest ride I can do this weekend, no matter how far I have to drive. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, that was just kind of a bad mindset. It like the
Yeah.
intention was good. It was just to maximize fun and meet as many people as possible. But when you're not developing those like very connected relationships all the time, it's
Mhm.
like kind of almost like, what's the purpose? And it's not that
Mhm.
those people couldn't be I couldn't be great friends with them. Like I fully believe most people I ride with, we could be best friends, but you can't keep up with that many people. You
Mhm.
spread yourself so thin, and it's not fair to them because maybe, you know, they want to be super close with you, but like if you just can't give that back all the time, it's
Yeah.
tough. And I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to hurt my own feelings by doing it, but
Yeah.
uh yeah, so it's yeah, communities definitely number one, I think, to making it all work.
Yeah. Definitely. Community is so important in so many aspects, and going back to, racing, um, I I started with hard enduro in the US last year, and I found a community through that. And it's kind of led to, the podcast and everything's helped. But I went from East Coast to West Coast, and I didn't think that I was gonna know anybody out here.
Mhm.
So I went to King of the Motos, and I was like, I kind of sort of know one person, maybe two. Um, so I went and I camped with those guys, and I ended up leaving, and I made my new best friends essentially.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that I've been riding with. Those are the people who've been really helping me. And the 2.5 months, 3 months that I've been around those people, it's been so much progression, not just even on the bike, but like, you're talking about in life too, like realizing that I did need that balance in life, that I needed that sense of community outside of riding. They're my
Yeah.
riding friends, but I just went and spent a whole weekend in California, and yeah, we rode every day, but like I also hung out with them outside of that. Like we all went to dinner, and like
Yeah.
it was really nice, and I was just like, wow, I can't even remember the last time when I just like had a weekend of just chilling with people, and it wasn't
Yeah.
like, "Okay, now this ride's over, now I've gotta drive to a different state to go for another ride tomorrow, and then I've gotta
Yeah.
come back because then I've got this other thing," and then,
But otherwise, you're
like
just sitting alone, and they all go back to their
exactly,
normal lives where they probably have
exactly.
community, family. Yeah, it's an isolating feeling when
It is,
they're
and
bursts
that's
of
like
attention.
yeah, and you were saying that, there's things that you hate to hear, and the thing that I hate to hear is that I'm really lucky to be able
Mm, yeah,
to do this, and I'm like, "You don't know what I've sacrificed to
yeah,
do the things that I do," and I love what I do, don't get me wrong. I do work a full-time job now. Well, I have been working a full-time job with this travel, but, I was just traveling with that job, but now I'm permanent. So it is a
yeah,
little bit harder now, but I'm still doing all this travel. I've
yeah.
been to multiple states in the last couple weeks even.
It's hard work.
So,
People yeah,
yeah,
it's exhausting.
it
Traveling
is.
just in itself is effort. I mean, anyone that goes on a vacation for a week, let's say, wherever it is, whatever you're doing,
Yep.
usually people are exhausted by the end of that. Well, imagine doing that for years in a row nonstop.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Like the must be nice, lucky. It's like, well, I started this whole dream, which yeah, it is a dream. It's it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. But I started it with a $250 camera. Like, pretty sure you've drank enough beer or smoked enough, cigarettes or something like that. If you just put that on hold for a month or two, you could probably afford the same equipment, achieve the same
Yeah.
results, and the hundreds and hundreds of hours of effort to make money off of it. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm I am lucky, like, I have a really great family and, like, support system and all that, but there's nothing lucky about the effort I put in to get where I'm at.
Exactly.
It's
Mhm.
there's no coincidence, no it just well, I guess there was a little luck in however YouTube decided to put that first video out,
That
and it
algorithm thing, but
yeah, well, and that's the other side of it, like, and I kinda hated it because like those people I was riding with that were also making videos, like in my opinion, they
mhm.
made much better quality videos. They were talking about deep topics and like their editing was crazy. Mine was just like cut up all the scatterbrain pieces and events that happens and smash them together. And it
Yeah.
worked, but like most of those, there's maybe one or two other like in the early stages that were like making substantial income, but the
Mhm.
rest of them, they were putting in all this effort and getting nothing out of it. And they love doing it,
Mhm.
and that's great. But I was like, dang, I just came out of nowhere and started making it happen. So like, yeah, I feel a little lucky that for whatever reason things popped off. But
Mhm.
I don't know. That's the struggle, right? Of social media in general is you can make good content, you can work really hard, but nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean
That
that's
I
yeah.
that is luck. I mean, in that way. I mean, there's probably some sort of, you know, magic to the numbers somewhere in
Yeah.
there that I don't understand and I don't really care to. It's just for me, I'm just here to tell people stories,
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. And it's
my thing, but go ahead.
yeah, and it's like there's 100% a formula if you want to be successful on social media. Dirt bikes, small niche. Hard enduro,
Yeah.
very, very small
Very
niche. So it's
small.
like your chances are not great out of
Yeah.
the gate trying to do it.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I know I have 100 video ideas that I guarantee would do well, and I'd make tens of thousands of dollars, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars easily. But it's not me. It feels disingenuous. You're faking
Mhm.
stuff. You're lying. Like I do not want to be. I want to be someone that hopefully people can relate to as a person. Like
Yes.
the person I am on camera in my videos is the same person you're gonna meet. And I just, yeah, I've never been able. I get 10 emails a day, people, random companies offering, thousands of dollars to promote their product, but it's like
Mhm.
hair care or, uh, I don't know, a nice nail clipper or a crappy Chinese, like, mountain bike that would fall apart. Like, I'm not gonna try to convince people to sell or to buy these unrelated products. Like, it'd have to
Mhm.
be a lot of money. Like, there's probably a threshold where I'd go for it, but I just feel like that devalues like my trust, the like the relationship of me and the people. I hate to say followers, but yeah, the people that
Mhm.
you know keep up with my life and what I'm doing and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of been a struggle, and I don't know. I guess it hasn't worked out well because I've built a 400,000 subscriber channel. I'm at 150 whatever now, and it's like I still really don't make money from YouTube that much. Like I've had the
Mhm.
highs, but for a while now, it's like I really don't make money off of it, even though I have put in the same amount of effort. So it's like, why? Why did that happen? Got to go
Yeah.
back to the streets, do more wheelies on the supermoto. I literally every video I post, some
That's
kid will
not where I thought that sentence was going, I'm sorry. I was like, "Whoa."
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, no. On the streets on a motorcycle, I mean.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, every video I post, BeRad, when are you gonna get a supermoto again? We don't like dirt bikes. Like, this is stupid. I'm just like, whatever. I
But
think it's just go
I
ahead.
think it's better to be genuine. I mean, I think that, for me personally, I mean, the only reason I really started posting videos of me riding was to get more attention for the podcast.
Mhm.
And I was deathly afraid the very first one that I posted because I know how
Yeah.
people can be for women on social media.
Brutal. Yeah.
Um, so I was like, "Oh my god." But I I would rather have people watching or listening to this that actually care rather than just a bunch of numbers. And
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
I know plenty of people and I could get big names and I could have done that from the start and just started this all with the super high people or whatever. But that's not that's not what I wanted for this. I wanted to tell stories of people, just all any rider can come on here, and it could
Yeah.
be somebody who doesn't race, it could be like I had one person on here who rides once every couple months, and it's he
Yeah.
loves it, but he's a
That
dad and he can't do it all
yeah.
the time, and
I don't
but I
yeah.
think that story is just as important as Tristan Hart or Cody Webb. You know, Cody was
Honestly,
on here, but
I
yeah.
think it can be more important. A
Yeah.
good example is Theo Vaughn.
Hmm.
Yeah, so like I occasionally listen to a random podcast of his, but like I don't really care about like the celebrity interviews, but he has one where he interviews like a garbage man from New York. One of the best
Yeah.
podcasts ever. It's like it's relatable, like it's tangible. It's not,
Yeah.
I don't really care what some celebrity is doing over the weekend
Yeah.
and what movie they're promoting. Like, yeah, it might be, if you're it's an physicist celebrity, maybe there's some interesting comments and stuff. But like the garbage man, the lady who trains cats to perform at like circus shows, like those are
Yeah.
the interesting people. And yeah, the how about like you said, the dad that only gets to ride once every couple months while
Hmm.
balancing kids and a wife and a job, but like that's the
Yeah.
dude who probably really freaking loves dirt biking because he does
Hmm.
everything he can to make sure he gets some bit of ride time, and he still
Yeah.
sticks with it and commits to it. Yeah, I yeah, there's a lot to that for sure.
Yeah. I think being genuine is the best thing. And do you really and I this is just a question. Do you really want people to follow you and be around you that are just interested in you because of the numbers? Or
No,
do
oh
you
my
want
god, I
people who
hate
are
that.
actually interested in you? Like
Yeah,
people who actually care. I mean, that's been my whole thing about this. I mean, yes, I kind of like want, this to be out there for more people to see, but that's
yeah,
because I'm passionate about the stories. This whole
yeah,
thing started because I met this family from Hawaii, and the son was 15 years old racing hard enduro
yeah.
at, a high level, and
Very
people
high
didn't know
level.
that yeah, people
Yeah.
didn't know that kid was, working. He's, mowing lawns and doing everything he
Oh,
can.
your parents pay
So
for everything. You're
exactly.
sponsored. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
they
but that's not what
so
it
much
was. He's
backstory
starting
to
to
it.
get sponsors now, but he didn't at the time. And
Yep.
all these kids, especially in hard enduro, like these 14 and 15-year-olds in this day and age, when it's cool to just like do the least amount of work to get stuff, these kids, you cannot fake dirt biking. You
No.
cannot.
Yeah.
You have to put in the time, you said that earlier about the training. You have
Mhm.
to put in the time or it's gonna show. Like, you
Yeah.
can say all you want, you can brag all you want, but the second you hit the trail, it's gonna show whether or not you actually do what you say,
Yeah.
and especially in hard enduro. And these kids are out there, there's 2 kids in Iowa who are 14 and 15. They're working full time, they're in school, they do after school sports, and they still find time to train in the Iowa winter.
Yeah,
So,
that's wild.
like, they're dedicated kids. Like, what other 14 and 15-year-old do you know that does that?
Yeah, there's not many.
So, I think that getting those stories out is way inspiring.
Mhm.
And yes, Tristan Hart has inspiration to what he talks about, and Cody and all of those people. But it's like you said, people relate to those kids. People relate to their dads. People relate to all of these people who are just normal people who ride
Yeah.
dirt bike and love dirt bike.
Well, and that's another thing on top of that though is I'm just a normal person. Cody Webb's still a normal person. Tristan
Yeah,
Hart's still normal.
exactly.
Like everyone is just a normal freaking Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian at the end of the day is well, she's a person. She's maybe
Yeah,
not
I don't
normal,
know
but
about normal.
no, but like if you looked at
Yeah,
her at I don't know, a young age, like she wouldn't stand out probably from any other kid, right? Like and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
all but the point being is like, yeah, it's a numbers thing and I kind of it frustrates me that society almost value or like sets people's worth based on followers
Numbers.
and stuff and yeah
Mhm.
numbers stats. Oh, how many
Yeah,
views did you get? And like
yeah.
I for sure went through a phase where I was probably like, oh, I'm the shit. I got 250,000 subscribers on YouTube and I'm the best wheelier there is because like I just had no perspective of no, I'm actually like a very well, And not to discredit people, this is the hard part too, is like I don't mean to self-deprecate, but like the Codys, the Tristans, like I'm here, they're off the screen way up here. But then I understand there's the people that look up to me and would
Yeah.
love to achieve like my ability of riding. And that's
Yeah.
awesome. So like when I say like I'm a mediocre rider, like I definitely don't mean to like discourage people who are, still trying to get up to my level. But
Yeah.
I'm just realistic and I understand I am so far from what is achievable on a bike. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, there was definitely a point where like on dirt bikes 8 years ago, I thought I was like the coolest guy around because
Mhm.
no one I rode with was as good as me, and that's all I had for reference.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just I think at that point, like in a way, I think my videos did better because I was more relatable to the average person.
Mhm.
And now, like, I was also crashing like 20 times every video I made. Every time I went out on the dirt bike, it was like a handlebar to the gut, a high side, like a loop and a wheelie, just like, yeah, like huge going over the bars, just like crazy, silly stuff. And I think people found that
Mhm.
entertaining. But now it's like, I don't really crash that much anymore. And if I do, it's like very not eventful. And it's like one crash a day, with 50 miles of riding. So like, yeah, it's kind of
Mhm.
not as exciting to watch, I guess. And maybe less relatable. Like the supermoto stuff, the wheelies on the street. Everyone drives a car on the street and could envision a kid can look out the window and envision a motorcycle doing a wheelie by his mom's minivan. He's not going to
Mhm.
imagine going up a canyon in Colorado, like sweating and struggling. They'd be like, why are you doing this? That's stupid. You're not even riding the bike. You're just pushing it. Like, so I think there's a bit of a disconnect in like some of that kind of content in the off-road, but specifically hard enduro. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's like that's what makes me happy. That's what I want to do. No, I'm not going to go ride supermoto and be a hooligan again because it gets views and it satisfies you. Like those videos are not for you, for the viewer. They're for me. And I'm happy if
Mhm.
people want to join in and watch. But like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, none of this was like for anything other than me. I was making videos when I was 7 years old with a little camcorder and claymation. Like I've always been creative in doing it. I didn't have a
Mhm.
goal to be a YouTuber and make a living off of it. But as soon as you get numbers and a following and like people think like, oh yeah, I don't know. It's just the attitude changes kind of like you become not a normal person in some people's eyes and you're a bit of a celebrity and then oh my gosh, BeRad, like, and it's like, just call me Brad. Hey, like, good to meet you.
That's
Like,
the funny thing. Oh my god, I was telling my friend earlier that I was gonna be talking to you today,
yeah,
and they were like, "Oh my god, B-Rad," and I was like, "Brad?" And
yeah.
they're like, "B-Rad," and I was like,
No,
"Okay,
and that's cool. Like, I
alright."
don't mind when people call me BeRad. Like, yeah, I accept
It's
either
just
either way.
funny,
But
cause like,
yeah,
I no offense, but I didn't know who you were when I met you, and then,
yeah,
like, so you were, like, a normal guy to me,
yeah.
and,
As
like,
I hope I
I
am to
mean, you
anyone.
are, like, yeah,
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah,
I didn't know the persona and everything,
yeah,
and so I wasn't, like, afraid to talk to you like apparently some people are.
yeah.
So
And it's not to like be condescending to anyone. It's more of like a public service announcement. Like
yeah.
it's cool to look up to people and like enjoy following along social media, but like just treat those people you look up to no differently than you treat your other friends. Like if you're not you're not going to build a relationship with someone by like googly eye over them, like it's awkward for both sides of it. And like I think there are people who like that attention and they want to be
Yeah,
like, everyone, oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. But like, I think the majority of people, especially in like dirt bikes, don't want that. They just,
yeah.
yeah,
They
you
just wanna
get
be a
it.
normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
for
yeah,
sure. Like, and well, like, I don't think we even talked about it yet, but we met at a Graham Jarvis clinic,
yeah, yep,
and he is one of the nicest guys, like super normal, very quiet,
He
but
is the
he's
most normal dirt bike rider
yeah.
you'll meet, and no offense by that, like,
And
yeah.
no, but, like, everybody's so scared to talk to him, and I did several clinics with him last year, and people would, like, come and talk to me, and they'd be like, "Can you tell Graham or can you ask Graham?" And I'm like, "Go talk to
You
him.
ask
He
him.
was right there.
Yeah.
He was 3
I'm
feet
not your
away." Like
secretary, or I'm not
yeah,
Graham's
like
secretary. Yeah.
exactly, which well, at the time, I kinda was, like, his
Oh, yeah,
assistant,
you
but
may have been in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
like but I
yeah,
still, like, people are so afraid to approach because of the name, because of the following, because of
yeah.
all the skill, and it's so funny. It just happened at Grinding Stone where Tristan Hart was standing there, and I told my friends, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go say hi to Tristan," and they're like, "What? You're gonna what?" And I
Oh my
was
god.
like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go say hi to him and ask him how he's doing." Like, he
Yeah,
broke his collarbone, and they're like, "You're gonna talk to him?" Yeah, he's a normal person. So, like,
yeah.
it's really funny though because I can do that, but there's girls who ride hard enduro and I cannot talk to them in real life. Oh my god, I cannot do it. I get
Really?
so like the googly eyes that you were talking
Yeah.
about. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't
Well,
believe
that's okay,
this is
like,
like."
we
But
we
that's
all
like
we all get it at some
yeah.
point, right? Like, it's I mean, I like, Graham's actually a perfect example. Like, I met him in Texas, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago or something, and, like,
Mhm.
I definitely had some sort of feeling. I'm like, "Wow, that guy's like, he's who I was looking up to at the time as a rider," and,
Yeah.
still do to some extent, but, like,
Yeah.
never did I think I would be in the same room as Graham Jarvis, like, hanging out, sitting on a couch, and here we are,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
totally random spur of the moment, and, yeah, so, like, we all do it, I guess, but at the end of the day, "Oh, Graham, I'm your biggest fan," like, I don't know, like, that would be s and he's a very, like, shy person, like, can you imagine how
Mhm.
uncomfortable he would feel, like, with people coming up to him like that? Yeah,
I've seen it, and
yeah,
he's
oh,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, so,
But,
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean
yeah.
yeah,
There's
it's
nothing
so
wrong
funny.
with doing it, looking up to people, having idols, but yeah, everyone's a normal human at the end of the day. We all have our ups and downs, our life experiences. I don't think it's a
Mhm.
cakewalk for anyone. We all have
No. Like
our
we said,
our
we you
battles.
have to put in the time. It's not like you just jumped on a bike and it was magic. Like you put in
Yeah,
time to learn those skills. You've put in a lot of effort to learn things and do things properly, and then you're passing on your knowledge. That's
yeah,
another thing that I absolutely love about hard enduro is that people who are at the top, who are these big personalities, these pro guys, are willing to share their knowledge. Cody Webb and I've had multiple conversations as normal people like just talking about stuff when I had him on um he was nerding out and talking about how much of a nerd he is, and it was really
yeah.
cool. He is a relatable person,
Mhm.
and ultimately like that was when I decided that I was going to have people like that on this podcast as well as an average, trail rider or whatever,
Yeah,
because every story matters. And I feel like probably Cody talked about stuff that he doesn't talk about on most podcasts. He was
yeah,
able to be more of a nerd. Most podcasts I feel like that have Cody are specifically asking about the Yamaha now, but
yeah,
then always asking him about specific races. I just kind of want to know more the story behind people, and like
yeah.
we
I
did talk about like training and stuff like that, but that's what it's about. And the thing about this podcast is that we've had people listening to this that have never ridden dirt bikes before and that hear the passion behind it. And we've
mhm,
had, I think we're at like 10 or 11 people now who've gotten dirt bikes because they're just
that's
like, it
sweet.
sounded so cool. Like
That makes it
now,
all worth
like,
it right there.
yeah, it was so awesome the first time. It's still every single time I get messages like that, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." There are
Yeah,
people who are trying hard enduro. They had no idea what it was. This guy in Minnesota that I know, he's like, "I had heard of it, but like I didn't think it was something I could do, but then you were talking about it and like it just sounded so awesome." So now he's trying it. He was a
yeah,
motocross guy and like, it's just it's cool to know that people are learning new things from this and they're connecting to pieces of people's stories. There's been
Yeah,
cancer survivors and things like that, and it's just so awesome. So, I'm happy to help share stories. Like, I don't have the big following and everything, but like we said, it's I can help share people's genuine story,
yeah,
and maybe just one or two people out there are going to be inspired by it, and
yeah.
that makes it worth it.
No, that's great. I agree with you. Like I don't consume much like moto content
Mhm.
because I guess I do it so much of it myself. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need to hear about someone's race, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, hearing about a top level racer's thoughts or struggles with their life outside of bikes is like way
Mhm.
more interesting to me and valuable. Like you can listen to them talk about their race. That's not going to make you a better rider, but you could listen to, oh, this is everything I had to do to get up to this point. So I had the ability to
Mhm.
be a Red Bull athlete racing.
Mhm.
That's the valuable information of,
Mhm.
yeah, like, oh, so you were that normal person.
Mhm.
Still are, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we all started from the same point. Is in a way. Obviously,
Exactly.
there's advantages depending on how you grew up and all that. But yeah, we all
Yeah.
started as a freaking little sack of flesh that couldn't even roll over to whatever you've grown into today. And
Mhm.
yeah, one of I don't get it so much coaching, but I get it. I get it on social media a lot. I'll never be able to do that. Like me doing a wheelie or something. And I'm just like
Mhm.
my my response is usually not with that attitude.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I never thought, and I never said I can't do that. I just never really even thought about it because it seemed so out of the realm. But I'm like, I'll never be able to scrape fender. I'll never be able
Mhm.
to do a circle wheelie. And I didn't really have those negative thoughts. I just didn't really pay attention to it. And then
Yeah.
got good at one, just practicing a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got it up to balance point. Let's just try to turn it left a little bit. And
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of hours later, I can ride a wheelie in circles. But
Yeah.
it's just funny, like you can't skip all the steps and look at a top level rider and just think, ah, I'll never get there someday. You have to look
Yeah.
at the normal person a little bit above you and say, yeah, how can I get up to their level where I can keep up with them
Mhm.
or get over the feature they can? And then you keep stepping up with those people, you make more friends, and then eventually you're doing something that you just never thought was even possible.
Yeah.
Um,
And see, I've had a little bit of a different journey in that I originally, like I said, I got my TTR and I was so
mm,
excited. I was like, you guys, I'm gonna go to Erzberg one day. Like, I'm gonna
yeah,
race it. Like, this is gonna happen. I was
yeah,
so excited. And the people around me at the time were like, that's never gonna happen. You're never gonna be good. Like, you're never gonna get off the TTR. Like, it was all external. And it
yeah,
was just like, wow, okay. So I was put in this box. And then, like, at that clinic that we met, I realized that I didn't need to stay in that box. I could do these things. I could
yeah,
progress. I could learn. There's a way to do things and that I hadn't known previously. And well, maybe if I work at it a little bit, I could actually potentially be semi okay at dirt biking. Like, all right, let's
yeah,
try it.
yeah,
And within that next year, still not even a full year, it was like 4 months, and then I bought the Husqvarna, and I was just like, "Alright, I'm really gonna try, like, I have to like, this is a big bike now, going from a smaller bike, and, all of these things are so different, now I have to basically relearn how to ride," but I dedicated myself to it because I was like, there was a potential there, and I didn't know what that potential could be, but there was something.
yeah,
And I have learned since then to not put myself in a box. And a year ago, I didn't think that I would be riding hard enduro. I didn't think that I would
You
be
think you'd be going up like staircase steps next to a 400-foot
like,
cliff in St. George?
no, yeah. I didn't think I would ever be on a cliff.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah,
I didn't think that a lot of these things would be happening, and last year I just posted a video a couple weeks ago. There was this tiny little hill and I was so deathly afraid of it. Oh my God, it probably took 10-15 minutes for me to work up the courage to go down this little hill and up the other side. And I was shaking so bad because I was so nervous that I crashed as
yeah,
soon as I got to the other side. And I just remember sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. And
yeah,
then now I'm riding Jawbone Canyon and doing absolutely insane downhills and uphills.
yeah.
Um, and it's just like I'm not doing it super fast, but I'm
You're
doing
doing
it
it.
and
You're
I'm
doing it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
I cannot believe it. Sometimes I'm like in the moment, I'm like, whoa, whoa, like what's next?
yeah,
So like it's so cool and the progression has just been so quick that I haven't noticed it at times, and then it's like you have those moments where you're like, "Wow, I've really come a long way." And I can't wait to see what it is in another year because I'm just like I said, I'm dedicated to progressing.
yep,
So, and everyone I'm surrounding myself with is the same way. So,
yeah.
it's
You
really
have
cool.
you have the attitude to progress. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
definitely not an "I can't" person, so that I surely you will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, every month you're gonna notice huge progression, I almost guarantee it.
I try. I've had to change so much about my mindset. Even something as simple as a lot of people say, "What's the worst that could happen?" And I don't say that anymore. Literally, I just did it this past weekend.
Yeah,
When I was on the trail, I was like, "What's the best that could happen in this situation?" And
yeah,
the best thing that could happen was that I was gonna make it across this super sketchy single track and it was gonna all be okay. But if I
yeah,
had asked myself what's the worst that could happen, I would have that split second of thinking of myself falling down the mountain again.
yeah,
And I didn't like after that initial time happened a few months back, I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore because then that's the thing that happens.
yeah, you
So,
hesitate if you
exactly.
plant that negative seed in your head. Think, "How good's it gonna
Exactly.
feel when I get up this hill?" Not, "How much is it gonna hurt when I crash halfway up?"
Exactly. And
Yeah,
it's just a split second, but when you're on a trail and you're like actively moving on the trail, having that split second of negativity can make a
yeah,
difference in my personal experience.
yeah,
So, having that split second of positivity has really helped me. Now, I don't make it every time. Obviously, I just well, I don't think I told you about that yet. Um I had a pretty wonderful crash this weekend. So I did not make it, but I
yeah,
tried it and the fact that I did was just like again, it was after I made sure I was okay. I, stopped almost crying because it hurt.
mhm,
I looked at what it was that I was doing and I was like, wow, like a couple months ago, I would have noped out of that section completely. I wouldn't even have tried it. I would have been like, this
yeah,
is too big of a rock. Like, I can't do
mhm,
it. But like I said, my mindset's completely changed in the last couple months. And so I was just like, "All right, let's do this." And
mhm.
didn't work out this time, but it will next time. So,
Heck yeah, that's
yeah.
sweet. Yeah,
Yeah, I love it. Um, so I know that this is what you kinda do all the time, but I always ask everybody this. So, if you had 10 seconds to give somebody advice who's brand new on a bike, what would be your best advice?
oh boy. Hmm. Yeah, I need more than 10 seconds to think about it.
It could be a little longer than 10 seconds.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I honestly, it sounds like such a silly, like, advertisement answer, but get training. Like, I I truly believe, and my attitude's changed about this, but, yeah, that's shorter than tech 10 seconds. Get training. But truly, I feel if there's nothing intuitive. There's a small percentage of people that hop on a bike and they they feel what's happening and they adjust, and like, but that's such a small amount of people.
Mhm.
But if you just get on and you go struggle, like, I don't know. I at the oh good, this is where it gets hard, because at the same time, in a way, riding was more exciting when I was struggling super hard just to ride a basic single track. It was more
Mhm.
exciting because it was so difficult and scary.
Mhm.
If I got
There's
training
that
right, like,
adrenaline rush, yeah.
yeah, I got more like I'm pretty straight faced like riding at this point, unless it's like some stupid gnarly feature, then my heart rate goes up a little. But like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I have fun, I enjoy it more, but it's not as like adrenaline inducing, I guess. So,
Okay.
all right, well, that's option one. Option
Okay.
two. Okay, I'm gonna change my answer. We'll just skip that, put it in the back of the mind. But
Okay.
find find a community of riders that have your same goals in mind.
I
There you
like
go.
that.
Yeah,
I really like
that's
that.
number one. That
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So we're gonna pause real quick because there's a second part to this question. But now I want to go to a different question. Is there anywhere that you think in the world that you could go that would get your adrenaline pumping, like when you're riding?
Oh, I mean, Page, or literally, and there's 100 spots within a 10-mile radius of where I'm parked right now.
Yeah.
So yes, for sure, anywhere on Earth, there's places that exist, but I have matured enough where I just, if I know it's something that's really high risk at this point, I probably just won't. I won't hit it. I might go look at it, but no, I wouldn't. My adrenaline wouldn't get pumping, because I'm either going to have the attitude of, "Oh yeah, I got that. That's well within my ability," or I'm going to sit this one out and let the other guys hit it. Like I don't really feel pressure too much at this point of like, I got to try this because someone else did it, sort of thing. Like
Mhm.
I know at Grinding Stone where my limit is. And I know,
Mhm.
like, yeah, maybe my actual limit is a little higher, but the risk isn't worth the reward at a certain point.
Okay.
So, short answer, yes. Long answer, no. Hopefully
All
that
right.
works.
Then if you could go anywhere in the world, all expenses were paid, where would you go?
To ride or just in general?
Ride. To ride. This is my
Hmm.
favorite question because it always gets everybody.
Yeah, oh, I get asked this all the time, and I've never come up with a reasonable response.
Well, mine changes every time people ask me, so I feel that.
Yeah, it's so hard to say, because like, especially in the States, we have every bit of terrain you could ever imagine. Really, like,
Mhm.
what what setting do we not have? Especially if we include, like, if we group Hawaii in, even though that's like very off in the distance.
Yeah.
Uh, like that gets like the rainforest, terrain. But
Yeah.
what else do we not have here? I really don't have much interest in international travel. Like, I was gonna go do a ride with Graham in Spain, just like for shits and
Mhm.
giggles, and
Mhm.
then COVID came around, and after thinking about it, I'm like, why would I spend, you know, all that money on a flight?
So, you were
Oh
saying, why
yeah,
would you spend the money on a flight for Spain?
yeah, like yeah, it'd be cool to say I rode in Spain, and with Graham and all that, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not made of money, and if I can just drive somewhere in my van with my own bikes, all my stuff, my comforts, at this point in life, at least, yeah, I don't know. I've already been to most of the places that I'd really like to go, I guess. Kind of just do the
Yeah.
loop, which is it's a very privileged thing to say, but um yeah, hmm, I guess with that said, I'll think of something in the States that I really want to go ride, like Central Idaho. I've yet to do a
Oh.
proper Central Idaho, like, big mountain ride.
That sounds fun.
I've wanted to do it for years, and I never end up making my way there. I've ridden northern Idaho a bunch, but that's all like, I don't know what, 5,000 foot max elevation. I wanna go do like the
The
10K plus
big,
stuff.
big stuff.
Yeah. And I've
Jeez.
done it in Colorado, so I don't know. Can
Yeah.
it be much different? I don't know, but yeah, I'd like to do that at some point.
Guess you'll
Probably this
find
summer.
out
I'll just
eventually.
make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. All
Yeah.
right. Well, then going back to the original question, the second part of that question is if you could give somebody advice who's getting into hard enduro,
Mm.
what is your best advice for that?
Ooh. I mean, I it could be the same answer for sure. I think that applies to any, whether it's motocross, hard enduro, anything.
Yeah.
Um, but a different bit for hard enduro. Don't let don't let equipment, meaning like the bike you're on, don't let that be an excuse for getting out there. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, maybe a YZ426 with hard 20-year-old tires on it. Like, yeah, you're gonna work a lot harder. It's gonna be a lot harder, but you don't need a $15,000 Erzberg Rodeo KTM to go ride hard enduro. I've been doing it on YZs. I had a 2003 YZ I bought for $900 that I did it on. Like, you don't you don't need the latest, the greatest. You don't need to spend all this money to go out and give it a shot and have a good time. You can run tubes in your tires. I did it for a number of years and didn't have issues up until I got to a certain point where, yeah, I needed bibs.
Yeah.
But yeah, take your dang bike out there, put on whatever protection parts you can get. Skid plate goes a long ways, and just freaking do it. Just give it a shot.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. And then the last question is, do you have any shout outs or thank yous?
Oh boy. Um, yeah, I mean, I could thank, honestly, I mean, my parents have, as weird as they thought my lifestyle choices have been, they've always rooted for me and given me support. And I think if their attitude was different, I probably would have given up much sooner. Um, but yeah, just having them always being like, yeah, do pursue what you love, and if it works out, great. If not, find something else, sort of thing. They've just always been very open to that. Um, and yeah, honest, I mean, there's so many people, but just since he's within 50 feet from me, Ryan Wells, he's been a phenomenal influence on just my life and everything. Just a really solid friend, and giving me a lot of opportunity. Being able to train under him, which means a lot. That I've gotten to a point where he's who I look up to as a rider. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate his skill in every discipline of riding, and like, getting to a point where he trusts me to now teach his students under his school is a really cool feeling. He lets me park outside of his house and use his bathroom, which is awesome. But yeah, his whole family, uh, his wife Lily, and his two twins who are about 5 months old, two twin girls.
Oh,
It's really nice that they all let me kind of be a part of their family while I'm here. And yeah, it's been the best winter I've had. Yeah, kind of at a point in life where I'm just feeling the best I've ever felt, honestly. And um, I don't want to give him all the credit, but he's definitely helped a lot, and at least setting me up to be able to feel that way. So, yep,
yeah.
him, my parents, all my friends, all the people that have ridden with me and supported my website, watched my YouTube and stuff. It all helps and contributes to being able to do what I'm doing. And yeah, it's not a solo mission I'm on. It takes a village, that's for sure. And a lot of people have given a lot of their time and support to make it happen. So yeah, very much appreciate all of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on. This was really cool to get to know you a little bit better and to I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I talk. I don't mind talking. I'm fine with sometimes maybe I overshare. I don't think I overshared this time, but
No,
yeah, it's
I think it's great. It's like you said, it's what people are gonna relate to, and I
yeah,
absolutely love that. I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to come on here and share and, be vulnerable, talking about, the hard winter that you had and everything. So
yeah,
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for trusting me to help share your story.
absolutely. Thanks for providing a cool platform to do it on. Yeah, really
Yeah, of
enjoyed doing it.
course. And then I'll see you in a couple weeks for our lesson.
Yes, you better get here soon, because yeah, I'll be going back to Michigan pretty soon.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, we'll make it happen.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I'll see you soon.
All right, bye.
All right. Bye.